Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the lunchroom. My name is Brenna Nicely. I'm the Education and Engagement Director at the American Repertory Theater. I use she, they pronouns. I'm currently in Arlington, Massachusetts, which is on Pawtucket and Massachusetts land. I'll give a little audio description for folks as well. I'm a 30-something white person with long dark hair. I'm wearing a ponytail right now. I've got a lot of sun coming in, and I am living my junior high fantasies because I have glasses and braces as well. And I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Jeanne Mahon, who is the director of the Center for Wellness and Health Promotion at Harvard. Hi, Jeanne. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So you just introduced me and my title, and I take she and hers. And in terms of, I live, right now I'm working from home. So I'm in Stowe, Massachusetts, and it's on Pawtucket and Nipmuc land. And for audio description, I am also white, almost 60, and I have short, kind of blondish brown hair. And I turned a light on because it's already getting dark out of here, just so there would be some light on me. And I'm up in my bedroom, and also the place where I practice my meditation.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Jeanne. And we're here on this episode of The Lunchroom to talk a little bit about the Wellspring program, which Jeanne, you and I have been working on, it seems like for a long time now. That we started before the pandemic and adjusted into the pandemic, turning into a series of pilot programs and workshops that center around connection, creativity, and wellness for all folks. Do you want to tell us just a little bit, Jeanne? I think a lot of folks watching will know about the A.R.T already, but might not be familiar with the Center for Wellness. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you all do?
Sure. Yeah. So we are a part of the health service. So we're located in the Smith Campus Center. And obviously, some things are a little modified right now because of the pandemic. But we are offering a lot of our programs virtually. So workshops and classes, including yoga and meditation and mindfulness and Tai Chi and Pilates, all that. So that's all online. Usually that would be housed in the Mount Auburn room in the Smith Campus Center. So it would be, a live class. But the bulk of what we also do is we have 5 treatment rooms, and we offer massage and acupuncture and chair massage. We have opened very small amount of days. We began at the beginning of October, just doing a little bit of massage and acupuncture, keeping within the state regulations, and hope to continue that into the new year and expand on it. And then there's a lot of health promotion and health education work that we do with the college, but around the university as well. So,
And for folks listening, that might not seem super connected to the arts, but that's part of what excited us about working together. I think we actually worked together for the first time, Jeanne, a number of years ago on a self-care series for In the Body of the World. I don't know if you remember that. I remember you led a meditation session that we offered free to the public, and I think we also had chair massage in addition to some other programs that we had around that production.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So it was a while ago, and then we tapped each other last year talking about a potential prescription referral program that we were thinking about to try to integrate cultural experiences for us going to the theater into some sort of treatment plan. And we thought looking at holistic health and wellness would be a cool way to go about that. And then, of course, we had to pivot because the pandemic meant that we didn't really have the in-person artistic experiences that we would usually provide. And I think between the two of us and our collaborators, we thought that the in-person portion of it was important to the goals that we wanted to achieve with the Wellspring. So then we shifted to more of a workshop model, right? Which I'm excited to talk about a little bit about what we've done so far. Though I wonder if we can also start out with just like a general question about what wellness is, how you think about it, how it's defined, and how maybe it's distinct or related to some other health practices.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, and I guess one of the things that I will just say that I have felt excited about with this whole partnership and collaboration is just that I think often people, when they think of wellness, they think of, getting exercise and eating and maybe now sleep too, maybe dealing with stress, but that well-being is really much more broad than that. And that one of the things that we're hoping to communicate through this is that taking part in the arts, seeing things that are beautiful and moving, being a part of something musical, all that really do affect, our well-being, our wellness. So just putting that out there. So one of the things that we've worked at is creating a well-being framework, which has, has 8 dimensions, but really trying to, again, stress again that well-being isn't just like what I said, physical activity or eating healthy, that it's really influenced by many, many different things. And that as we go through our lives, we're working on different parts based on what's going on for us. We often tell the students when they arrive on campus, the relational aspect tends to be very high. They're looking to make friends, they're develop relationships. Obviously, the kind of academic piece is very big. And so throughout our lives, there's maybe a balancing or a self-reflection on the different aspects, and maybe what has gotten a little out of balance that could need some tweaking, and what's out of balance just because that's what's going on right now. So for many of us being home a lot, it may be that there's a little bit of the relational, there may be some loneliness that people are feeling, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I imagine those focus areas sort of shift in priority throughout your life as well. I know I've used that wheel before, and there are a few times where I said, "Oh, I'm just totally neglecting this area of my own wellness." It's a super helpful tool. You also mentioned some shifts that are happening now more because of the pandemic. And I know it's a little chaotic and quick moving, but I'm curious if there are any trends or adaptations that you've noticed in terms of either programs that folks are interested in participating in, or any needs within our community that you've seen come to the top because of the time that we're in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think the stress, seems to really help people have a lot of stress for a whole bunch of different reasons. And then I do think the loneliness, so that an opportunity to connect with people in some way. And what's hard though is, what we're offering is on Zoom. And I think a lot of people, depending on their work situation, can feel a little burnt out on Zoom. We do offer, one workshop, which is a laughter yoga that we did a little bit of in collaboration with, that I think has been so refreshing. So we've definitely been getting some more requests for that. Because it's kind of light, but it also has a self-reflective, component. Mm-hmm.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I think that's a great transition to talk about some of the things that we've done together in the fall. So we've developed a series of engagements. I think something that we discovered in our initial conversations, we knew we wanted to collaborate with artists and wellness practitioners together. Like that was sort of the core of the method that we wanted to try to employ. And I think we realized early on that some of the artists that we bring to the table and that we talk with already have a wellness practice integrated into the way that they make work. So that was true, I think, when we talked to Kit Yon, the creator and performer of Queer Heartache, which was available in the Oberon Virtual Sphere this fall, as well as Sarah Porklub and Andrew Russell from the Dragon Cycle just led a workshop on storytelling as self-care as well. So there's this sort of focus on self-reflection, narrative, and writing that has emerged from these workshops that we've done. And definitely in a way where, like, I've been surprised at how Zoom can actually help facilitate some of that. Like you mentioned, folks feel burnt out, which I totally do. Too many hours on Zoom. It's tiring having to stare at a screen all day. But there was something really beautiful about being able to be in the same room with people and work on your writing and share your writing. For Kit's workshop, everyone was sharing out loud, but we didn't hear each other. So there was like this really great sense of community and working creatively with a bunch of people in the same process, but without the same type of self-consciousness that might come if I'm asked to share in person. So that was really surprising. And I know we were even in a meeting was it yesterday, where we were talking about potentially providing some yoga classes where it might even be better for people to participate, or more helpful for people to participate if they can have their camera off. So like these really small adjustments that seem to like increase our hospitality.
Yes. Right. That makes some things possible or more comfortable maybe. And then also just not having to, schlep across the campus or schlep somewhere to attend. Being able to do it in your jammies or something. That's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to shout out Beanstalk Yoga as well, which I think was a really beautiful collaboration that really mixed a very specific wellness practice with some artistry. So we did. If you want to tell us just a little bit about what laughter yoga is, then maybe it will make a little bit more sense about what we did.
Yes.
We did 2 workshops around our family production of Jack and the Beanstalk, which is still available online. If you're interested in the yoga videos are available online as well. But I know sometimes people aren't familiar with laughter yoga. So why don't you tell us a little bit?
No, and it's unusual, and people even are like the two words, like what they go together, and I'm not sure I'm always even the best at describing it, but I think as we looked at it with this was just some silliness, some loosening people up. So it really is about just accessing a playful part inside, and the instructor that we actually have 2, but both are just sort of a little bit over the top, so help you let go of any tension or inhibition that you might feel, and then just start being silly and making funny sounds and starting to laugh, and before you know it, people are all really laughing, and then seeing each other, or you can if you're uncomfortable, you can certainly turn your screen on. But yeah, and so one of the things that I think that is really nice about it too is, so there's a little bit of that, and then there is a pause to kind of just reflect and notice what you feel inside, notice what energy is shifted, and people really do feel a lot of relief, a lot of sense of ease from having done it. So it's a great practice.
And it was really fun to think about it in connection with Jack and the Beanstalk too. I was putting on my educator hat, right, of working with younger age groups, and also thinking about what a theater going experience is like for a younger audience member who maybe hasn't gone to a bunch of performances before, and not trying to like recreate exactly what it's like to go to a theater and be around people, but to give a sense of the types of feelings and emotions and like preparation and like process and almost ritual that you go through the theater door, go through the lobby, sit in the theater. So it was really nice meeting with you and Andrea, your collaborator, and Jason, the yoga teacher, to just talk about how we can create a centering experience for a whole family that's both gives you the fun of being in a crowded room of a bunch of kids getting excited to see a show, but that can also get you focused on a story in preparation of seeing the show. The idea is that the laughter yoga is something that you can watch before you watch Jack and the Beanstalk and gets you centered. So that was really lovely. And then the story time yoga, it really like blew my expectations out of the water. I have to be honest. It was like an integration of storytelling, interacting with elements of the story from Jack and the Beanstalk, the characters and the plot and the setting, and essentially adapting yoga poses into that story. So it's almost like a creative drama is what we would call it, or a storybook drama is what we would call it in theater education world, right? You're walking the students or the kids or the families through a story, and they're acting it out as you go. And it was really lovely to see that happen while doing some yoga poses, right?
Yeah, it's so great. Mm-hmm.
And I hope we get to do more of that too.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it was a great, everything just fell together, and we had the right person, and it really is good.
Yeah. And so we're thinking about what we want to do for the spring and how we want to adapt or grow and specify the program. I mentioned earlier that we really thought about it as a pilot to try to explore different types of relationships and types of programs. I think a couple of the things that maybe we can chat about that we've been thinking of is how do we interact more specifically with therapists, very specifically for like a therapeutic experience, either in relation to a specific production we might be doing, or just having an artist collaborate with a therapist to see what they might put together. So maybe we can talk just a little bit about how wellness practices are distinct from therapy, or maybe how they intersect. But I know I've had a bunch of conversations with potential collaborators, and I know you have too, just about it being very important that we're clear on what is therapy and what is not, and how they can both be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, two things. I think depending on, like you said, the content of the material in the production, that can certainly generate things, emotions or whatever, or, trauma even. And then I think there's been a big movement in sort of the meditation yoga world about, how to be more trauma sensitive in how we teach and lead people, and, giving a lot of choice, letting people not feel like they have to follow something very rigidly. It can be very helpful. But so I think, I just forgot your question.
About the distinctions between, or the relationships between wellness and therapy.
Yeah. So I think while, there's ways that we can be sensitive to that in how we're leading and facilitating things, there definitely will be a time perhaps where there's someone who is clearly, perhaps in more distress. And so then I think it's important for us, as we do more of this together, to sort of who's there to support people in that way. If it's a workshop that we know is going to be, with dealing with some, tough material, is there somebody even a part of the staff leading the workshop? Or do we have, people in the community that we know we can refer people to if, if they need that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we've even been talking about how we integrate health and wellness, both from a holistic well-being standpoint and also from a potentially trauma responsive standpoint, into our practices as a theater. So not even just in the workshops that we might put together, the collaborations we might offer, but also our process of art making. It's been interesting to me for a while that, I don't know if you know this, Jeanne, but for a production that has a lot of choreography, dance, things like that, there will be a physical therapist that comes in a couple of times a week to help support the performers who might need that support. And I thought for a while, like, hey, do we have a way of supporting our mental health or our other parts of our health just as much as we might invest in the physical health as well? And I hear more folks talking about that. Yes. So it's not necessarily a public facing program, but especially since in the theater world, we have a tendency towards drama, right? And sometimes that means directly depicting trauma. Yeah. Some of it being very deep and potentially scarring for folks, right? And then you're asking a performer to have to go through that, usually 8 times a week. And of course, folks have their own supports and their own coping mechanisms, but I don't know. I feel like we have some sort of responsibility to take that seriously and to try to offer something. I don't know. I'm kind of springing this on you. I know, Jeanne, I don't know if we've talked about this before.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. And what else is making me think about, and I know we did a workshop early on with the staff at A.R.T, but so thinking about that thread of supporting the wellness of all of you and the performers, and how important, that is. And I think I recently read an article about that same kind of thing, and really noting that actually it is traumatizing if you're an actor repeatedly playing a role that is, dealing with some kind of trauma, and what kind of support is available. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think, we don't have therapists on site. We do have, massage therapists, obviously acupuncturists, people with yoga and meditation. And we know that all those can be, really have a place in healing and in well-being. And like we said, it can also get, I think there's a really fine line there. And, one of the ways that we try to distinguish about it when we talk about our well-being framework is we talk about emotional well-being being something that we're kind of part of talking about, but that mental health, which I don't know if I always like that word, but in any case, is a little bit more of a therapist's kind of domain or something.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of places, at least I've seen, it seems to me as if, at least in the theater world that I follow, there are many more health and wellness and arts programs coming into the professional arts institution world, like the professional theaters. Mm-hmm. I know it's been an area of interest and research for a while in different sectors, but it seems like now is a moment where more programs focusing on wellness, well-being are coming to us and through us. I think probably partly because of the pandemic, but even before then, realizing the connections between well-being and culture. I don't know if you have any like big picture thoughts on why you think that might be. And I know you mentioned earlier the connection between, at least our hypothesis of a connection between well-being and arts experiences, and why you think that that might be true.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think, well, I think a couple things. I think that, again, there's just this really big expansion of seeing how, our well-being is so multidimensional that everything affects it. And then even within that those things affect each other. We all have had a really crappy night of sleep. And then the next day, it's like a brain fog and can't think quite right. And we know we tend to crave carbs because we didn't get the right amount of sleep thing. There's some chemical that we didn't get enough of or something. So it all is part of it. But so in terms of specifically the culture, I think for me that feels like that does come in a little bit around, like I'm thinking of art therapy and how much that's grown, and certainly in Cambridge where we are with Leslie and some of the other institutions that have been, working with this and educating around this for so long, that it has a huge impact on our well-being and can be a really cool way to access emotions or parts of ourselves that talking, don't always, access. So,
yeah. And I think it's important for places like a theater to be mindful, get it?
Nice.
To be mindful of, since, our intended goal is to be a convener and a place to inspire creativity. Yep. And if we're going to be doing that responsibly and for everyone, how do we stay in dialogue, and like acknowledge the moments that we're in and the different experiences that people might be going through from moment to moment, right? Which obviously we can't know, but what supports can be put in place to be hospitable and welcoming to everybody where they are. And that extends obviously beyond where folks are in their wellness journey, right?
Sure. And I think you're also pointing to, something that also can happen or does happen in the performing arts, which is that it can be very provocative, right? It can really bring up issues or make us, connect with something or see something perhaps in a way we hadn't seen it before. And that can be so important and sort of growth producing, but it can also be scary, overwhelming, all those things.
Yeah, and we've even developed programs with the specific intention to ask people to take risks with us.
Yes.
Right? Which is a wonderful thing to do, and I think super essential, right? Comfort isn't always the number one goal, but safety should be the goal, right?
Yeah. Or, one of the things that we kind of talk about is, comfort, but then, when you're getting someplace a little edgy, how do you kind of let yourself go there a little, but don't go to where you get sucked down the drain, where you're able to like access a little bit of whatever that edgy growth edge is and know that, you're okay, keep both those things sort of alive.
Yeah. And as we speak about all of these things, I think both of us have acknowledged the importance of making sure that there's measurement and a research element behind everything that we're trying to do. I think that's one of our big next steps, right? Is to try to figure out like what's the way to quantify this thing that's going to be pretty difficult, I think, to measure with participants who maybe come to one or two workshops.
Yes.
But how important do you think program evaluation and measurement and making sure we're aligned with where experts think we should be aligned is for a program like this?
I think it is really important, and it's definitely not my strength. But what's interesting is we are working with some other groups around sort of meditation and mindfulness, and which we've been offering a number of programs, primarily for the college students, but the graduate students as well, over the past 3 or 4 years. And then just feeling like just having some simple, some of a personal, some validated tools, but then some evaluations even that we're doing about what was offered, all that. And I think it is so important because it's hard to remember,
Right.
and then you think, oh yeah, those all, and then you're like, no, actually, it was that one thing that was really important or that was really troublesome for people, and it kind of got lost. And so I think it helps to, well, to keep track of what we're doing, but then to find, to fine tune it and find, what is where are the benefits, and then we can program to them more effectively. And then where are the places where, like we just said, maybe we're getting a little off, or it's a little bit too intense, or sort of not our our wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been one of the most informative and beneficial exercises, even just to have a relatively simple survey for folks who are either interested. We have, I think, a couple going, folks who are just interested in the topic and want to share their thoughts about what this might be. And then also folks who have engaged specifically with the programming, who have feedback. Even just that one column about what other programs do you want to see is like wonderful and super, super helpful as we're trying to think about who to bring together. And I think it really is turning into more of a who do we bring together and who do we talk to about this programming to bring in to facilitate or create something together, versus us making, concrete decisions about this is exactly what we're going to be offering. So it's been really lovely and collaborative, both working with artists and wellness practitioners and folks who are both.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I feel like it's actually something that you're helping teach me about, because it's it's the ones that you've created are not like, they're just pretty simple, but they really, if they're done uniformly, then you get the same information from a number of different practices or workshops, whatever you're doing, that then you have apples to apples. You can like compare those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different programs. So.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, I'm getting the sense as we work on this more with wellness and health and wellness more broadly, probably everyone needs something different. So it's almost like thinking about it as an access service, right? Where it's not about, let's find the one thing that's going to work for everybody, but let's provide a bunch of different options with different methodologies, different delivery methods, and that folks can select from and try out. Maybe something will evolve from that into like a long-term ongoing specific program, but it seems to be really helpful in this moment. I think where folks are probably just like looking for new things. At least I know I've been experiencing different needs in terms of how I'm coping. Some of them just come to me naturally and some of them I have to seek out. But it seems like a part of the moment right now, right? Is where people are trying to look for new ways to take care of themselves.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what would your, considering that we're looking for a bunch of different ways to take care of ourselves, if you had to give like your top 2 to 4 wellness tips of things to try for folks during the pandemic, what would you recommend for folks? And then we'll get into a little bit of a practice with you.
Sure. Oh, that sounds great. Let's see. Well, I'm going to share some of mine. So I've just found that my capacity is not as large as it usually is. So I kind of got about it. And then I was like, you know what? Just that's what it is. So I think there's something about listening to yourself, trusting yourself, like just in terms of extras. Obviously, there's things with my job and my family and some things that I've made commitments to that I need to do. And so those are my commitments. But in terms of extra things or taking more things on, even self-care things that are like not happening. So I would say to, obviously there's a balance there, but so to pay attention to that. For me, getting outside, however you like doing that. And I know you and I talked about that the other day, a walk, 15-minute walk. It doesn't need to be a big crazy thing. Just go out your door and walk around a little, especially where we're seated and in Zoom so much. I love getting out in the woods. That for me is huge. And then I'm a big sleep believer. So I definitely sleep and I need to sleep and I don't always sleep well. But I make sure I have a good amount of time to, before when I get in bed and when I'm supposed to get up. So even if I'm up in the night, I'm still getting enough rest. That feels really important. And then I think connecting, however you can connect with the people, it doesn't have to be everybody, but the people that, nourish you and that you love and care about, and maybe people who are, are hurting in some way. Sometimes that is a really lovely, you're extending something really nice, but you're also, you get to get out of your own stuff a little bit. And that can be a really beautiful practice.
Yeah. And all of those are pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
I say simple, not easy, right?
Yes, very, very important. Very important.
Simple practices. And I think we're learning that with the Wellspring as well, right? That there can be value in integrating a lot of different skills and pivoting and differentiating your instruction to make it exciting on Zoom, which is definitely applicable to working with my younger students. But sometimes the simplest opportunity, the simplest and most well-designed in its simplicity opportunity can really help provide a space for folks as well. At least for me, I know I have a tendency to want to over-program and to make things kind of like over-curate or over-facilitate something. But there's something about this moment where the simplicity and just the ability to either relax or simply just be together when we can't, most of us can't in person. Something that I think is emerging. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. And I think it's really true. And and then there's more room for spontaneity too, and it can happen a little bit on Zoom as a facilitator. I definitely can feel people, in a group or something, but even more so in person where, then you can maybe go in a direction, just because the group you feel like is open to that, or the energy's there or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see how that goes, or how that is channeled into our programming that we will put together for the spring. I mean, we've talked about things like knitting circles or simple conversations, just like programs that just make me feel warm and not, stressed about needing to program all of the details of them. And also some of the collaborations we've been talking about between artists and therapists to figure out some new methodologies. I think we have some exciting programming on the horizon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it really is great. So I'm excited about that too.
And I'm grateful for your partnership, Jeanne.
Yes, me too to you. Me too to you.
A lot of folks listening in are probably in the middle of a holiday or break season or about to go into one. So I'm wondering if you want to offer us a little bit of a mindfulness practice to close us out.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So maybe we'll just do a simple, 4 or 5 minute, nothing too crazy. Okay. So wherever you are, you can just, most likely you're seated, but you could be standing. That works too. And you can let your eyes just rest on one spot with your gaze kind of soft, or you could let your eyes close, whatever feels good to you. And I like to tell people to relax the muscles around your eyes, because we're looking so much with Zoom that when I do that, I feel like, oh, that feels good. So try that. And I loved what Brenna said about simple but not easy, because a lot about meditation is that. It's a pretty simple practice. We usually have what we call a support or an anchor, someplace where we're kind of resting our attention. And then when our mind wanders, we kind of notice it and we say, oh, mind wanders, and bring it back to that support or anchor. And lots of times that's kind of it. But it's not easy. Yeah, because our minds wander a lot and have lots of thoughts. So I think I'll teach us a really simple check-in called 2 feet and 1 breath. And what I like about this is it's super easy to remember. So I'm going to ask you to bring kind of your attention and awareness, like you could put your mind's eye right in your left foot. And so just noticing whatever sensations are present right now in your left foot. Might be temperature, sensations, buzzing, tingling. Maybe areas where you feel very little sensation. Maybe areas of discomfort. You're just kind of widening the lens and just noticing everything that's there. And then shifting to your right foot. And again, noticing whatever sensations are present in your right foot. And it may be, quite different from your left. Temperature, discomfort, areas of kind of no sensation or very little, maybe relaxed. And then taking a moment to feel the support of the floor, rug, or wherever you are that is underneath your feet. That's supporting and holding you up. And then bringing your attention to your breath. And seeing if you can identify where in your body you feel the very first sensation of an in-breath. Might be the tip of your nose, maybe a little sensation in your throat, the rise and fall of your chest or your belly. See if you can track just one breath from that first point of it coming into your body and then going back out. And then we'll just take another few breaths, just letting your attention resting in the sensation of the breath. No worries about all the thoughts that are flowing around. Just letting them rest in the background. And as we bring our practice to a close, allowing your breath to deepen. And if your eyes were closed, you can let them open. Maybe there's some stretching or some way of moving your body that feels good to you. Thank you.
You got that lovely email ding to take us out of it.
I know.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. That was really lovely.
Yeah.
I feel calm and ready at the same time.
Nice. That's really good.
And thanks everybody who came to hang out with us a little bit today. This was a pre-recorded session, so we won't have a Q&A. But if you have any questions that you'd like to pass on to us, feel free to send those to Sarah, who sends out all the confirmation emails. We'll make sure that email address is shared with you. We'll also make sure that we have some links to both the Wellspring program and the programming that the Center for Wellness puts out for those of you who are interested in learning more about those. So thank you all so much. Have a great restful break if you're looking at a break. And if not, I hope you find some moments to take some relaxation and time.
Nice. Yes. Be well, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.